These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Militia Man and Mark Z via PDK. Militia Man says Iraq is going international big time. Iraq is considered to be one of the world's wealthiest nations with vast reserves. They have the money they need for a real effective exchange rate. With the oil, natural gas, sulfur, precious metals, etc., they can afford it. Mark Z says, and the rare earth minerals Iraq has just discovered, Iraq is worth much, much more now than when the rate was 322 over 20 years ago. All right, Goldilocks says bonds increase demand for a country's national currency. It also increases its value. Iraq is beginning to sell bonds to their people and investors to participate in the growth of their new economy supported by gold and the dinar. Iraq is beginning to make moves that will make their country's economy self-sustaining going forward. Utilizing only the dinar can make that happen. Right, Frank 26 says every day those that were against it, the dinar/monetary reform, those that were negative, like Parliament, are complimenting and cheering on what is about to happen. Every day they come up with new ways of saying the same thing. Article quote, advisor to the Prime Minister, economic policy in Iraq is moving towards implementing the principle of monetary sovereignty. Monetary sovereignty, another beautiful way of saying we have a new currency. All right, Pimpy says it looks like Iraq is pushing for its own monetary sovereignty. Article quote, Iraq is moving towards applying the principle of monetary sovereignty. Pimpy says, what does that mean? This is actually really good news. This is what we've been bugging Iraq to do, to get out of the shadow of the United States and do your own thing. In other words, our little child is wanting to be all grown up and make a move to be on its own. This is exactly what we've been looking for. Once we kick the training wheels off Iraq, you have to trust the people who are making the decisions about the Iraqi dinar to make smart ones and not screw everything up. All right, Sandy Ingram article quote, inflation rate in Iraq declines in 2023 compared to 2022. All right, the Central Bank of Iraq announced the inflation rate decreased in 23 compared to 2022. Inflation in Iraq reached approximately 3.7% in August 2023 compared to 4.4% in August 2022. Iraq's inflation rate is good compared to most countries where inflation has reached 30% and 40%. All right, Mark Z via PDK, very little out of Iraq overnight, but everything coming out of Iraq this week has been overwhelmingly positive. I know this is tough. I know we've been sitting at the edge of our seats for entirely too long, but it's hard to nail down a worldwide, historic, once-in-a-millennium event, but we know it is coming. Frank 26, question, can the CBI, ALAC, and the board of directors reduce the exchange rate of the American dollar? Frank says, no, of course not. They don't have jurisdiction to do that. Who can do that? The U.S. Treasury. ALAC and Sudani said to the citizens, private banks will give support to the Iraqi citizens by reducing the dollar exchange rate. What that means is they're going to give value to the Iraqi dinar. It reduces the value of American dollar in the country of Iraq. All right, and Walking Sticks is at this phase of the monetary reform. They have to figure out the note count. That's what the U.S. Treasury is working with them about as well. The note count that will be released into circulation with these lower denoms. Why? So as not to introduce currency inflation, which is part of the experiment they're running in Kurdistan with lower notes, in our opinion. The monetary steps have put the lower denoms and the new exchange rate in position to come out and float strongly without failure, because that would be a catastrophe. All right, Claire article quote, a Chinese advisor describes Iraq as the largest investment destination for his country. Quote, counselor of the Chinese embassy in Baghdad said in a press conference held today at Chinese embassy in Baghdad that Iraq is a country rich in energy represented by oil and gas. And it is natural that the energy field is a relatively greater source of attraction for Chinese investments and is in line with the industrial diversity in Iraq. Right, Militiaman says we see all the writing on the wall at this point in the time that Iraq is going to go international. They're going to be part of the WTO. With them going to the private sector, you can just see it's going to be a robust economy in this country. Right, Pimpy said next year is going to be very interesting, especially if they're going to start doing everything in just Iraqi dinars. I'm curious to see what kind of effect that's going to have on the Iraqi dinar. I'm actually looking forward to it. All right, Frank 26 is coming out at a higher rate, could destroy the monetary reform, and it could cause it to fail. Just 1 second here. My computer froze for a second. Sorry about that. And he ends with, that's what they're working on right now with the U.S. Treasury. And wow, having some technology problems here. I'm not sure if it's recording anymore, but if it is, then I hope everybody is having a good day. I am coming off of a little bit of a cold here, but figured I would try to get this up. And that's all we've got for today. My computer is freezing up here. All right, thanks for listening, y'all.